problem with it, just send me a private message and I will turn the stream off. So go ahead and put your characters in the current party box. And if you are a DM, please go out of DM mode. For everyone else, make sure you are speaking in character. We will go ahead and get started. Now, I believe that most people know each other as far as have played with one another. However, I would like to do a quick just introduction. Try to keep it fairly short and sweet because this adventure has a lot of options and choices and things in it. So I'd like to try to get to the intros fairly quickly. So let's start with Targar.
Okay, sure. So, man, and I've finished
You're
up the
cutting off heavily.
Sorry?
You were cutting off heavily. You said like 2 words in the middle of a silence.
Damn it. Okay, that would be push to talk messing with me. Right. Well, yeah, so Charisma Paladin, who's now a questing knight. Yeah, I think everyone knows him.
I think Tool is about the only one that hasn't played with you.
Right. Yeah, so old warrior, fought a lot in his youth, then decided to retire, settle down, raise a family, and then got a bit bored of the whole thing and went back to being a warrior in the guild.
Alright, sounds good. Amelia.
Alright, the long and short of the description, tiefling girl, about 15 years old, 5'3", 99 pounds, red skin, brown hair, yellow eyes. Personality traits include being naive and idealistic and believing in ideals such as, justice and stuff like that without completely comprehending what they mean. Always seeing the best in everyone, but being easily, tricked into thinking, if someone says someone else is a villain, then it must be true, because why would they be lying? That's her shtick, sort of, that I don't get to play out enough. Mechanics-wise, Warlord gives bonuses to things and charges people when necessary.
Cool. Karen.
Hey everyone. Karen is a dwarven cleric. He's in his 50s, but he's still quite young in his lifetime. He's still got some time to go, but he hasn't really reconnected with dwarvenkind as well as he'd liked. He was rescued by his grandma at a very young age from their dwarven hall from an attack by goblins, and he has not since found the location of his clan hall, and he'd like to rediscover that at some point. He's a cleric of a monitor. He wields a two-handed execution axe, proficient in melee combat, and he gives bonuses to allies.
Alright, Lord Merrill.
Hey everyone. My character was previously a paladin for Dolora of the Eberron setting. She is the goddess of the sun. Meryl died fighting against the undead, came back to life as a vampire, eventually broke free from the person who turned her into undead and joined the guild because she had nowhere else to go. And since then, she's pretty much fallen from grace as a paladin, but she still uses those powers for her own ends. Mechanically, I am Verloka, although fluff-wise I'm human. Class-wise, I am a hybrid paladin vampire, and my paragon path is vampire noble. I am a pretty decent sustain. I have pretty decent sustain. I do a lot of AoE shenanigans as far as marking goes, marking a lot of targets and then mitigating a lot from there on. I also have just good self-sufficiency altogether, and I do a fair bit of damage for a defender, I think. Okay, that's me.
Tool.
Okay, thematically, Tuel lived centuries ago. She was a warrior devoted to the court. But that was a while ago. More recently, she was summoned as a warrior of old in a time of need, but something went wrong with the ritual, and she kept on after said need wasn't present anymore. So she joined the guild out of pretty much seeking what to do. Mechanically, she's a twin striking rogue who deals a fair bit of damage, and is a terrible glass cannon in terms of that she blows up to, well, anything that looks like an attack. And that's it.
Okay, Gilda?
Right, this is Gilda and this is her secret. Gilda is a Hamadryad shaman. She, you need to read this thing. She pretty much lived in a forest all alone, talking to trees, but she got bored, so she started talking to spirits and found secrets and went on an adventure and found the guild for more adventures, and that's pretty much all.
Cool deal. Well, I was just making sure that I poked people so that Ashley, your push to talk mandatory should be turned off in just a moment.
Thanks.
So, I mean, if the whole group wants to go aggressive, I'm not against going aggressive either, but so Ashley, you should have mandatory push to talk taken off.
Oh, yep, cool. Thank you.
All right then. So you guys are gathering in the guild hall. You get a message from one of the adjuncts at the guild that a red portal has opened to the world of Athos. That is not one of the regularly scheduled portals that Vesmahes is opening for people to use the library. And there has been a message from the Sphinx that the time to act has come and has requested adventurers to come to her aid, and specifically is looking for those that she's had relations with, people that have done things for her in the past and that know the Sphinx. There have been a couple of times over the past couple of weeks where different people have gone and done things for one reason or another that have offended the Sphinx, and getting ejected from the library sometimes comes with a good bit of a remove affliction cost or lots of bed rest. So the Sphinx very much prefers to work with people that she has worked with before. So the story so far is that you guys are all people that have had priority, so you've all at least done some godless stuff. So gone into the world of Athos to deliver a message to a man called the Weave Pasha, and the Weave Pasha basically said that the reason that he had not contacted the person who was looking for him is because he's very weakened, that there was an attack on him and his treasury, and an artifact was stolen. Then that artifact, after it was stolen, was corrupted, and the Weave Pasha went and did something to the artifact to prevent the artifact from being completely corrupted or destroyed. And you guys went to the next thing where you went to go find the Sphinx. After finding the Sphinx had some understanding of what the ritual was that the Weave Pasha used, and part of the thing that the Weave Pasha did was to send the artifact away from Athos out into the astral sea that is, unthinkably large, in a way to, one, separate it from the dragon who had stolen the artifact from him, and two, make it to where the artifact was not going to be easy to corrupt until the Weave Pasha regained his strength. The Pasha gave you guys a set of stones with different words on them and different elemental affinities to bring to Vesmahes so that she could do a ritual and try to figure out what was needed in order to not only find the artifact, but recover the artifact and then possibly change the artifact from its corrupted form back to the way that it once was. In the last adventure, you guys went to a different place and found the artifact itself and were able to recover it. The artifact was still obviously broken, missing a piece, as well as being partially corrupted. And you all brought significant numbers of the pieces of the elemental sea along back with you, so that she could use it to aid her in turning the artifact against its former master. And over the past couple of weeks, you've been waiting for Besmahis to complete her rituals and to be able to finally set something up to be able to go to the next step of purifying the artifact. So Besmahis calls you back. You guys head through the portal and find yourselves again in this comfortable library with the ever-present smell of coffee that sort of wafts around everywhere. You see the occasional guild member that's going up and down the spiral staircases into the libraries built into the ground. There's the stone automatons, the guardians and golems of Besmahis' library that walk around, but they mostly seem to ignore you, as you all are known as being not troublemakers within the library. Besmahis looks exhausted but animated. You can see that the area around her has been cleaned. She doesn't have a sort of a layer of dust and debris around her as much anymore. She's much more active and stands and talks rather than kind of laying and loungingly on the ground while she speaks with you. And as she comes in, there's a little click as the coffee is placed back on its plate. It says, "Ah, excellent. All people I know were free. It is good. Good to see people that know how to respect proper knowledge are able to come to my aid once again.
Good to see you as well.
She smiles with her very, very sharp teeth and nods her head and says, I think I have done as much as can be done to purify, and she gestures towards a box off to her side, the artifact, but there is one last piece that remains that I'm unfortunately incapable of doing without exposing myself. The dragon, Safaraktar the Dread. He has bound himself to this icon of the light. That binding is subversive and corrupting in the natures of this beautiful thing. I have shielded it and warded it against his eyes, but I have also, within the wards and protections of this box, turned his own tool against him. Safaraktar is a very cunning opponent, one who is used to laying traps and used to using his quite considerable arcane arts to protect himself and inhibit his opponents. This is sort of a interesting trap for him. He may know that you need this box and his recently felled corpse in order to destroy him once and for all, but with luck he might not be able to notice the enchantments I have laid on the interior of this box. She taps the box and slides it over towards you. She looks up to you and says, the time has come. I need this dragon slain. And in the dragon's lair, my friends, there is reward aplenty.
It pains my heart to see one of my grand cousins fallen so far, but I have slain these monsters in the past, and I will gladly do so again.
So, she nods her head. Yes, it is always dangerous to strike at those that are close to us. It causes great pains which we feel in more than physical ways. But Safaraktar has fallen many, many years ago. This is more removal of that which is already long since dead. Does anyone have anything you want to say to the Sphinx?
Not particularly, no.
Mm-mm.
User was moved out of your channel.
I don't know who that was. Hey, Yuho? 1, 2, 4.
Yeah, probably you. Yeah, it was you.
Okay, it was Yuho. So she's gonna give you guys the box. Who's gonna take the box itself?
I'll take it, I guess. Why not? I've been doing.
Because you're the leader.
I've been taking initiative like that before, so I'll do it again.
So the box feels very uncommonly light, although it seems to be made of some sort of dark reddish colored wood and has a lot of arcane runes written in a language that you may not recognize. I didn't actually get everyone's languages, but if you guys could throw your languages in chat for me. Along the outside, there are, in each of the corners of the box, a ram's head with curling horns that lead towards the middle, with a ring of writing around the bottom. Like I said, the box feels very uncommonly light. It feels like if you kind of tap it, it'll almost float in the air. And it's about 2 feet, 2 feet by 2 feet by 2 feet cube with iron brackets on the corners. And so, yes, none of you will recognize the writing on the box. So she hands it to Amelia and says, "You seem to have grown stronger in your adventures, but flight is something that is an uncommon thing. Do each of you have a way to fly?"
I have a way to fly.
I don't.
Not by myself, but my noble steed here does.
So if a couple people say that they do not know how to fly, she will kind of nod like it's something that she expected. She calls to one of the automatons who brings her a chest, opens up the chest, and inside are a set of rolled carpets. "These should serve you well, although the magic on them is quite weak and temporary. Nothing that I use here is as strong as it should be. Here, take these." And hands you guys each a magic carpet.
Nice.
All right.
Yeah, and that's better than sustained minor flight.
So basically, the way the flying carpet works is you have a fly speed of 6, and you can hover. Sorry. While you're riding on the carpet, you have a -2 penalty to AC and reflex.
All right.
And why do we need to fly?
So the Sphinx smiles with her very sharp teeth and says, "Ah, why you need to fly is where the dragon's lair is." She points up at the ceiling. "He has made his lair, his traps, and his hoard of knickknacks up in the earth moats, several hundred feet above. It should not be difficult to locate the dragon's lair, while he has different magics to obfuscate himself. The mere presence of magic of that power is so uncommon here, he might as well light a beacon." So for those of you guys that were in the first part of the Godless series, the Dragon's Lair is in the earth moats that are flying well above the sanctuary, well, above Vesmahis's library.
Earth
Yep,
modes
yep.
are basically flying chunks of Earth, or what?
Yes, and there will be pictures this time, because bad at life.
Oh, nice.
All right then.
I've done all this without pulling you guys over to Vesmahis's area, which was really stupid. So those are earth modes.
Are all Earth modes so vertical, or are some more horizontal?
They're in all shapes and sizes.
Okay, good.
The things below here, like this bit here and this bit here, are actually earth modes themselves. So you can sort of see that it vanishes off into the bottom.
Oh, nice.
So, do you guys have any other questions? Anything you want to ask of Vesmahis?
Just for an idea of what we might face. unless she's going to keep on speaking in riddles, which she probably will. But I think I should ask anyway.
She smiles broadly. If some of you guys do not have the stones, which I think is Targar and Meryl, she will pass each one of you guys a stone with a single word inscribed upon it, and she says, "The dragon is a master of the arcane arts, and he wards his lair and his treasure jealously. He is not known as Safaraktar the Dread for nothing. He will try to dishearten you, try to persuade you against direct confrontation, until it is at the moment where he has the most advantage. He is a creator of many arcane things, and there will be problems, constructs in his lair that he uses to defend himself. Not proper things." She scrapes her claws against one of the golems in her library, "but merely tokens, totems of his might and power, worshipful things of himself in a hideous language."
And I suppose the tactics we used against your creations will not work against those of his.
She nods her head. "Quite so. Although he is too vain to allow things to act for him, he will be empowered by those things around him. Those stones of power have a little bit of my strength and a lot of the Pasha's. Should you find artifacts of his that are weakened or deactivated in some way, a little bit of clever trickery might allow you to turn some of the lair's more potent defenses against the dread." So translation is, you guys each have the stones. If you want, you can use the stones from here, from either from the quest reward last time or that she's giving you now, to turn pieces of the lair that are his defenses against him. And when you get to that point, it'll be really obvious what I'm talking about and what she's talking about. But in order to turn it against them, you have to wrest control of that thing from Safaraktar first, and then turn it against him.
All right.
And Karen was just curious if Besmehis knew what the missing piece of the phylactery might look like. And, once found, if we join it to the charged phylactery, if that would spell doom for Sephiroth.
So when you say join it, she makes that weird sort of clicking hiss that you've come to recognize as her giving a warning. She sort of snaps her teeth back together. Says, "Do not recover the piece of the artifact. If on some strange happenstance you find the rest of the compass, do not return it to this before it is properly cleansed. I do not want to see what the corrupted artifact could do if it should fall into the dragon's hands." So basically, if you kill the dragon and you find the piece and you want to put it back together, great. But
To do so beforehand will spell our own doom, I suppose.
at least from what she's saying. Actually, what she's more saying is, if you complete it and then somehow it falls into the dragon's hands, it's going to be a big problem.
Makes sense.
So, any other questions or comments?
I'm ready to go.
Let's go. She kind of gives a brief little instruction lesson. You can tell that she's really trying to not be very cryptic when she's explaining how to use the carpets, but that it takes a lot of effort for her, and she ends up repeating herself in slightly different ways a whole bunch of times, because the Sphinx talking to you plainly it almost seems like it's like against her, like it's so uncomfortable for her, like it's talking about a very uncomfortable subject, to talk about anything plainly. But she kind of explains what you guys are doing, and once you guys seem to have at least a basic understanding of how to use the carpet, she will say farewell. And as you guys go to leave the lair to fly outside, she says, "Heroes, please beware. Although my long exile here has not done great things for my own strength, I think it has done something much deeper to the Dread. He is weakened and can be much more desperate. That creature does not like separating himself from power. While he is weakened, he is still a deadly and dangerous foe. I do not want to be responsible for your deaths. Think upon your actions and be careful." She picks up her coffee, opens up a book at a bookmark, and then turns down to look at the book as you guys leave. So, as you guys head out back into the blistering sun of Athos, I think I didn't properly hide the right part of this map, but I will put you guys in the top left-hand corner. There is the shale road with the, let's see the real areas real quick, the earth modes that are shown down on the bottom left or bottom right. You guys are not in the city or in the marketplace, but you're on the road where there is this sort of blasted landscape all around. Oh, since we have people that are divine power, Best Mahis would prevent you guys from leaving until those that are have divine power sit and meditate and rest with her for a while. So you guys can definitely go without it, but unless you guys make a point of going without it, Best Mahis is going to ask you all to sit in prayer and meditation with her to gain the benefit from the handout.
Yep, and for that.
Yeah, Tygar doesn't feel particularly relaxed and comfortable around her, but he's still not going to go out without any power, so let's meditate.
So if you meditate and if you kind of focus on things, there is this sort of aura of peace that comes from Best Mahis when she is meditating. And for those of you guys that stay within the same room while the other people are doing that, there is a low sort of buzz that if you sit and listen closely to it, is Best Mahis speaking in an incredibly small voice in some strange language as she's slowly murmuring something to herself. But that same sound fills you guys with a sense of sort of peace and relaxation, kind of like bubbling water in the background. So you guys head out into the blistering sun of Athos, and you see not far off in the distance these flying, some of them look like flying mountains that are floating up above you all, casting the area around Best Mahis' sanctuary in perpetual shadow from the scorching suns above. So, you guys have the carpets, or you have a way to fly yourselves. The first part of this is to figure out where exactly the Dragonslayer is up there in the moats. This is not a formal skill challenge, and this is not going to be something that is combat initiative, but I would like for everyone to roll initiative so that we can have some sort of turn order for what people see and what people are doing. And of course, since it's not combat initiative, Mash will nat 20.
Rip.
Gotta save those ones for, when it's real combat.
I mean, I rolled a
Exactly.
2, so... And that ties me for lowest.
So, again, this is not a formal skill challenge, so there is no penalty for passing or anything like that, but the goal of what you guys are trying to do right now is to find your way through the massive earth moats and figure out where the Dragonslayer might be, or where the entrance to the Dragonslayer might be. So, Amelia, you're up first if you have something, and again, there's no penalty for passing.
I definitely do. I mean, she already explained that, well, he has so much arcane power that he may as well have a beacon lit, so I'm going to look for that arcane power.
Sounds good to me. So, as you guys start to fly up into the Earth motes, spending a little bit of time looking around, searching for arcane power, you extend your senses out. The arcane energy here on Athos feels very violent, and it's sort of the background buzz of arcane power here is really kind of almost painful to tune into. However, there are several areas throughout the moats that seem like dead zones, like there's spots where there isn't a lot of power, which you know means that there's probably some sort of warding or something like that. As you are passing over one of those dead zone spots, you can sense a powerful wave of magic fly past you, as if something that is either a spell or something that is under some sort of spell has just recently passed you all in the air.
That's disconcerting.
If you tune into that, you can sense that there is something moving around, keeping its distance from you, but either invisible or behind some sort of veil that is making it hard to perceive.
Sentries.
Karen, you're up.
All right, Karen's going to try to detect this invisible presence.
Okay. You're going to try to detect it?
Yeah, he's going to try to use senses other than his sight to try to detect, to get a feel for where it is or what it is, where it's moving.
Okay. So, looking around, after Amelia kind of tells you that there's something out there, you can tell that if it's something that's, stopping you guys from just seeing it by hiding, something like that, probably not, because there's so much wind and sort of moving things. There's little bits of dust and stone. Some of the earth motes smack against one another and send a little wave of sand off of them. Looking around, you don't see anything out of place, other than this whole area seems a little bit unstable. Meryl, you're up.
I do a insight check to try to get in the mind of the dragon to kind of see where I would try and hide if I were in the dragon situation.
Sure. So you're trying to think like a dragon, and then basically every conclusion you get to is, well, if I wanted to be a dragon, I would want to have my back to something that, was solid and stable. I would put it on the ground. Like, putting it up here just leaves you open from, like, every angle. Like, this just seems ridiculous. Why would you have a stronghold that can be attacked from any direction? And you start thinking about your fortress in a far-off land. Gilda, you're up.
Alright, so Gilda got bored during that whole speaking of the Sphinx, so she will spend her excessive energy and do stupid thing on the carpet, like barrel roll or something like that.
Okay. So you're just getting used to the carpet itself.
Yeah, more or less.
Fair enough. Targar, you're up.
Okay, well, while everyone else is thinking and sensing things, Targar's just going to ride Arthur around and look with his eyes for a dragon lair.
Sounds good to me. Give me perception. So, again, in the map down, or on the section that's on the bottom right, I'll draw everyone's attention to it a little bit down here. The little pieces of earth that are flowing up are earth motes, but the things down below, the big things that look like mountains, are also just huge chunks of earth that are floating in the air. Some of them look like they are a mile tall and half a mile wide. Those big chunks of earth, you kind of get the impression that if this dragon is the size that it seemed to be when you guys were watching it from distance, it's probably going to make its lair in one of the bigger earth motes. But as you look around and look, you don't really see any signs. Like the normal things you would look for on tracking a beast, you'd be looking for tracks or signs of eating, or a place to kind of bask in the sunlight. You don't see any sort of the obvious markers of a lair out here. 2L.
So, question. Ata's sun is very hot and unpleasant, correct?
Yes.
So Tuel will trust that her more castery friends are more competent at fighting things than her. So she will try to help them concentrate by flying above them and simply providing shade with her flying carpet. Would it be something like endurance to tolerate the sun while being above everyone else?
No, I mean, again, it's not a skill challenge, so you don't really have to do anything. If you want to say, "Hey, I'll fly over someone so that they can see more things," you can just do that, and that'll count as an assist for them making a check.
Okay, that works for me. So yeah.
So everyone's gotten a chance to kind of talk and contribute to the adventure. So I'm going to make it more freeform now. So if anyone has anything they want to do to try to look for the lair to figure out what they're going for, go ahead and speak up.
I mean, I could keep doing Arcana checks until it sticks, but that seems like no fun. So I'm going to. I mean, we had like a presence. I suspect it's some manner of sentry or something that's trying to follow us. So I'm going to essentially send out like the energy of my will towards it, and just try to. Well, basically, I'm going to roll intimidate to make it come out wherever it is. This is not. This isn't hide and seek anymore.
Okay.
Not quite medium. I mean, not quite hard.
So you send out sort of an intimidating blast. You don't. It's a little hard to kind of aim it at something, but you do know that there is something out there that's moving around unseen. And then after you send out this wave of energy, you get this relatively cool, considering it's the desert air, a relatively cool breeze that washes up on you, and you hear this voice coming from all around, calling out in Draconic, because I think we've got several people here that speak Draconic.
Yeah. Targar might be the only one.
I think it's either Targar, and I think 2L also has Draconic.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah, Tuel
Either
has
way, you
Dracon.
guys can probably understand what I made it say.
So the voice says, "Supplicant or challenger, who goes there?"
Challenger.
The voice laughs, and it kind of echoes around really oddly in the area between the earth motes flying around. Who would you be to challenge Safaraktar the Dread?
I am Targar Sunfang. I am the champion of Bahamut, and I will slay your master.
So after you say that, there's a bit of a break, and that cool breeze comes again, and then you see a veil wash off of a creature that's only about 30 feet away from you all.
Is it Nimur? Yes, it is.
So you see this bronze dragon basically wash off a veil of something keeping her invisible, and she's perched kind of awkwardly sideways on one of the smaller earth motes. She has her neck craned around, looking down towards you, and says, "The Dread is no master of mine."
I am glad to hear that. Targar's clearly surprised that it was an actual dragon. Then can you lead us to him?
So she kind of stares at you and then looks over towards Amelia and says, "You, each of you, are challengers, or are these your hangers-on?"
They are my
We are
companions.
all
They are each my
challengers.
equal.
Yes, we are all here in the name of justice.
So she's still speaking in Draconic exclusively.
Oh, well then, yeah, then you
Yeah,
will
Tuel
have to
just
speak for
reply,
us.
yes, we are all challengers.
So the dragon sort of, you can tell, is pulling the earth mote along with her as she's getting a little bit closer. And as she gets closer, you can see that her whole body is covered in scars. Like there's streaks where it looks like a lightning strike has gone across her chest and gone all the way down from her left shoulder over to underneath her front left shoulder up to her front right arm. She's got kind of claw and bark marks, signs of old wounds kind of everywhere. And she looks down at Targar and says, "That one over there carries something on her that is abhorrent. You might not be dragon enough to feel it, but I must know. What is it that you carry that is so offensive to all my kind?" She's glaring at Amelia.
I'll just, tilt my head in a quizzical expression because I don't understand the language she is speaking to me in.
She
We'll just
bears
translate.
Sorry, people are talking over each other. What did you say, Targar?
She bears the foul trinket cursed by Sephiraktar.
And the dragon kind of gets a little bit closer, cranes her head, and she looks like she's trying to focus on you all. You can see that her eyesight looks like it's messed up. She's got scars around her eyes and face. And then she goes, "You seem familiar. Some of you were those that the dragon went after, and yet you still live. How did you escape the dread when you brought his attention?"
Is she still speaking Draconic?
I was getting ready to say, when she says that, her tone of voice changes pretty drastically, and she switches into speaking Common.
Yeah, I can answer that question, and I will say that it's because we had justice on our side and also the Sphinx.
So the dragon crackles a little bit as she adjusts her wings. "The Sphinx. What Sphinx?"
What was the name? Basmahis?
This sounds like a time. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. I've forgotten exactly what the name is, but Targar says it. Basmahis something.
Besmahis is the name of the Sphinx.
Basmahis. Okay, there we go.
So the bronze lets out a little bit of like a deep exhalation that carries with it a little twinges of dragon's breath, and she says, "Such a meddling creature, but she does mean well. You are here to do it truly. You are here to take down the dread."
Yes.
So the bronze nods her head and says, "I will lend you what little aid I can. I know his defenses and the way that he does certain things. I would ask for something simple in return."
What would be the request?
"The dread has taken my children. I do not know where or for what purpose, but I have been unable to find them. His magics are greater than mine, greater than all of those that I have been able to make deals with to try to find out what has become of me and mine."
At this point, Twill would get a bottle out of her backpack to demonstrate, and she would say that Sephiraktar has slain your children. They were used to create the artifact that Amelia is carrying. And she would show the bottle closer as sort of evidence.
I will be quick to add that most likely he only took the male children for that despicable purpose, and I will gladly pledge myself to helping her discover what happened to the females.
So if you hold up the bottle, there's a gust of wind that comes and picks it up. Those of you guys that are close enough to sense that there's something much more physical behind that wind can probably tell there's a invisible creature, probably an air elemental, that picks up the bottle and brings it over to her. She holds the bottle very delicately and whispers some words in Draconic. Those of you guys that have ritual casting know that she takes about 5 minutes to sort of identify the liquid. And then it starts to like have this growling sob as she apparently correctly identifies what the blood is. She takes the bottle and then she drops it, and you see like a creature, one of the elementals probably pick up the bottle and float it back over towards 2L.
I am sorry for what happened to your children. Safarakda will die for this and other crimes.
She looks over towards Karen. Was the one that said it about the other children, right? Or who was it that said that?
TL said that the children, but Targar said that he could help kids. I'm not sure which questions are you asking.
So someone said that he likely only used the male children.
Yeah, that was me, Amelia.
So Amelia turns back, or sorry, he turns back to. She turns back to Amelia and says, "This, if true, I would ask for you to figure out whether some of my brood yet lives, and if they were not used in that foul ritual, if I might find a way to recover them."
I will do everything in my power to help.
So she bows her head and says, "The dragon, the dread, he is resting now. He does not normally come out to hunt when it is this bright in the daytime. Difficult for his illusions to be kept up under this harsh foreign sun. Follow me. I will take you to his lair." And she turns and flies away. When she launches off the earth moat to fly down into the cluster of stones, you can see that there is a veil that passes over her, kind of like a blur spell, where she's not
User
completely
joined your
hidden,
channel.
but she's a very similar color to all of the stones around her. She's kind of a sandstone color, and while she's flying along, it's relatively difficult to actually focus on her as she's flying her way through the ruins, or through the earth moats. She is obviously making it to where you guys can follow her, but she is cloaking herself in some minor fashion. So I assume everyone follows Namur.
Yep.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't we?
So she flies down. You see the ruins of a broken, like, part of a castle that was once a section of this earth moat. She flies near it into near the base of one of the largest of the earth moats, and there's a hole that looks like it's been dug out with claw marks all around it. Once you kind of have your attention drawn to it, it's fairly easy to tell the difference between the areas that have been clawed away and the areas that are sort of naturally broken away. But it would have taken you all quite a while to search through the areas, since the earth moats are so big and since there are so many different pieces. So she flies down and then lands inside of the hole in the side of the earth moat, and kind of walks on her legs and folds her wings to get into the interior. The interior of the earth moat is a large cavern, and you can see in front of you that it's decently dark in here, but there is a faint light coming from the other side. It is a greenish purple glow. It's kind of alternating between green and purple. And the air in here is very, very cool, especially compared to the outside, where it's, like I said, it's 130 degrees Fahrenheit outside. In here, it's more like 40 or 50 degrees Fahrenheit. So the bronze lands and sort of waits for you all to kind of have your eyes adjust to the dim interior, and then gestures over towards a different area on the wall. Give me 1 second. That's the wrong map. And I think you guys can see all this, so I'm just going to turn off Fog of War. So inside of the cavern, which again is in the base of one of these big earth moats, You can see on the far side there's a wall that looks like it's made of very, very dark blue, blue-purple, almost black ice that goes from floor to ceiling, blocking off a passageway leading further into the moat. On either side, there are these runestones that are sitting glowing with that kind of greenish light that are covered in runes of a language that you guys do not recognize. So the bronze dragon sort of waits for your eyes to suggest, looks around the room, and then she seems to be kind of pausing, waiting to see what you all are going to do. Crickets, crickets.
Kieran's curious if this might be one of the defenses that we were all told about, and was thinking perhaps we can deactivate it, maybe using some of the power from the stones, the fortune stones we have.
Okay. You guys are just, actually, I will go ahead and have you guys reroll initiative because it's way easier than pulling all your tokens over. So just roll initiative, put you guys back on the tracker because I know you can't see it, so that move you guys on the different map. For one person. So there we go.
So I guess Karen will allow anybody to do any Arcana checks or anything like that beforehand, and then if everything's all right, we'll go ahead and try to infuse some of Besmahe's power into the stone.
And again, you guys do not need to go in order by any means. This is just to make sure everyone has a chance to be able to talk. So Karen is calling for someone who's more arcanely specialized.
I mean, Nimrod told us that she knows about this guy's defenses. Maybe we should ask her what to do with this thing. That kind of makes sense to me.
It does. She seems to be kind of standing, pausing, watching your all's reactions to seeing what's in the room.
So yeah, let's ask her what are the stones and how do we deal with them.
So is that what your character says?
Yeah.
So she turns back and says, "Those stones are artifacts from contracts that the Dread has made over the years. I do not know how they work very well, but I do know it will ward off his lair from very powerful direct assaults and also keeps this place hidden from his enemies. At least certain types of his enemies." She's talking, and you can tell that she only sort of understands the intricacies of how it works, rather she kind of knows what the effect is, rather than knowing the details of how it's created. So the two stones on either side of the wall will prevent the wall from, you know, thawing, and the wall will prevent you from going further into the cave.
Okay, makes sense.
So who wants to do what?
Considering that those are stones, I guess I would try to check if there is any nature, natural power
Sure,
inside them.
sure.
Hmm.
So, as soon as you get close to them, you get this sort of weird, painful, writhing energy that comes from it. It not only doesn't seem like it is based on any kind of natural or primal power, but rather that it seems opposite, directly opposed to primal power.
Alright, that sucks.
So, Targer, anything you want to do?
Targar feels completely out of his depth in this situation. While everyone else is being useful, he's just going to look around and see if he can spot anything interesting, I guess.
So the room itself is... I'll go ahead and make the check if you'd like. the basics will be that the room itself is relatively bland. It's kind of a landing area. It's the front porch basically of the Dragonslayer. The only things of particular note are the two stones and the wall in the middle. 24 will get you most of the same information, although it is a little peculiar. If you were designing this, it's kind of odd that the stones do seem to be powering the wall, but the stones are also on this side of the barrier. To you, that seems unusual.
That is odd, and Targar will comment on it in the hopes that someone else is more equipped to figure out why.
I'm not sure how to approach this. I'll delay since I have no idea what to do here.
Okay. And again, it's not actually skill challenge, so if you pass turn, there's nothing against it. I just want to make sure that everyone has a chance to be able to talk if they would like. Karen.
Okay.
Kieran was wondering if his passive insight of 28 would pick up anything from Numir. You're just curious, does she seem to be holding anything back?
You can tell from the way that she's doing things that it's not quite like the Sphinx's test, where the Sphinx wanted you to prove that you were capable and were not going to die from something, but more along the lines of you have said, we are a challenger, we are something that can go and oppose Sapphire Actar, and so she's sort of watching you all kind of concerned. You can tell from the way that she's standing, from her posture, and how she is between the exit and you all, that she's very much in the position of, if these people don't seem to know what they're doing, that she's just going to duck out of the cave and fly away. She seems very obviously frightened of the dread. Meryl, did you have anything you wanted to do?
I wanted to see if I can look around the room to see if there's anything that might possibly interact with those runes, since they have to. Since, like you said, they're on this side of the barrier for a reason.
Okay. So investigating the area directly around the runes, you can see that it's a little hard to see on the map, but there's kind of a smaller circle around the rune, the stone itself. Inside of that smaller circle, the ground is black. It is black as pitch, and when you have any sort of light on it, it doesn't seem to give any extra information. The ground looks like very clearly dead magic, and when you get close to it and sort of examine the area directly around it, there's it's relatively a faint smell, but it's very, very strong smelling. I guess is the best, it is not a strong, it is a distinctive smell. It is not necessarily very strong. That's what I'm trying to say. There's a smell of sulfur that is coming from the ground inside of the circle.
Okay.
Amelia?
Alright, so what we've concluded is basically the runes are written in a language that none of us know, and it's not deep speech or anything either. It's probably abyssal, is my best guess. They are curiously enough on this side of the wall, so which makes it less likely that they are a lock, because why would you not lock it from the inside if you wanted to protect yourself? And it's also like Nimmer said something about them being sort of a ward to keep powerful intruders out. Did I understand that part correctly?
She was referring to the wall, but yes.
Oh, to the wall itself, not to the stones.
Yes.
Okay, because it seems like, say a red dragon of his size could just probably melt down the wall with his breath. Then again, he wouldn't have a breath if he wanted to confront the thing, but that's beside the point, and that's not something Amelia would think of. They are also sort of defiled, essentially. Mm-hmm. Except there is energy coming off them, which is very interesting. I mean, obviously I'm going to make some kind of arcana check. I want to figure out how to justify it. Because it seems more like it's a sort of a warning to keep out rather than, a defense in itself or something like that.
So there are three kind of distinct pieces of interacting with things in this area right now. So you have the wall of ice, you have the stones themselves, and you have the small warded area around the stones. And then those are pretty much the main things that interact within the room. So if you're going to make an Arcana check to kind of get more information about one of the pieces or to try to see how things work, just let me know what piece that you're interacting with, and so I can give you the information that it corresponds with.
Yeah, that's fair. Because I figure it has something to do with the fact that it is basically defiled, the warded area sort of around the runestones. So that's what I'm gonna focus on. Obviously, I'm not a master preserver or anything, but I'm hoping to reverse the deadness of the magic there, essentially. And I guess my first role will be preparatory for that purpose, though.
Sure.
To help me figure out whether that's a terrible idea that will get me killed or not.
So you're investigating, you're not necessarily doing it.
Yeah, mostly investigating, sort of preparing to see if I figure out it's a bad idea, I won't prepare. But yes, preparatory / investigatory.
Also, I would like to say as a DM, kudos to this party for being literally the first party that has come to this particular skill challenge in this particular way, and it's not gone, we take a hammer and we beat the wall down. I'm not saying it's a wrong answer. I'm just saying it's funny that that's been everyone else's solution. So I always like it when people give new answers to puzzles. So you can tell that the area directly around the stones, you can't read what the writing is on the ground, but you can, after a little bit of investigating it and looking and seeing what it does, you can figure out what it's doing. So what the ritual is, you don't really know, but the effect of the ritual is relatively easy to see. What it's doing is that stone is constantly sending off defiling. It is constantly kind of destroying magic in the area, and that circle is feeding latent magic from the area around into it, and it also seems to be sending the defiling elsewhere. Like, it's basically making sure that the defiling doesn't build up too much inside of the circle, and that the stone is able to continue maintaining its enchanted presence by leeching magic from the area around it. You've not seen anything like this before, but it kind of fills you with this sense of just perversion. Like, it's wrong on some pretty profound levels.
Oh yes. And that makes me definitely want to stop the defiling. I will do that next round though, or round. I don't want to hog up the spotlight too much.
Right.
Give other people a chance to assist me.
Again, it's not a skill challenge yet, so the only reason I have you guys initiative is to make sure everyone has a chance to talk. You guys have had one round of initiative, figuring out what's in the room. If anyone has ideas of what they want to do, go ahead and speak up. I'm not going to continue to kind of micromanage everyone's turn.
Okay, since this looks vaguely like a magic circle, it's the circle is composed of a bunch of runes, correct?
Mhm.
I would try to basically just erase one of the runes or otherwise disrupt it to see whether that affects the circle in any way.
Okay. So it's not going to take any kind of check. There is nothing special. There's nothing special protecting the circle. So if you go up and you just scratch one of the runes out, that doesn't take any effort other than to say that you do it.
And does anything happen to the circle after one of the runes is scratched out?
So as soon as you strike out one of the runes, that smell of sulfur kind of redoubles. It gets much stronger. You see the rune glow with an angry kind of yellowish color light. And the area directly around the stone starts to blacken as the defiling sort of escapes the circle, and you can feel those of you guys that are trained in Arcana, which actually might just be Amelia. Actually, I don't even know if Amelia is trained in Arcana.
I am trained. I retrained the bluff to Arcana when I hit 11.
Okay, so Amelia, at least, and if anyone else is also trained, you can feel this pull of the defiling magic as it's slowly eating all the area around it. After a second, the ice wall shudders, and you see a huge face appear in the wall of what looks to be a dragon. The dragon's head takes up the entire distance of the wall, and you can see it kind of tilting its head to side. The face gets very close. It's peering through the wall. It seems to be looking at all of you, and then it looks past you all to the entrance of the area. So, the Archmage comes to wreck another home. I didn't think your return could be worse than your abandonment, Nimur. but here you have come to dash my hopes once again. And what are these little toys you bring before me? The dragon at first seems to talk at the back of the room towards Namir, and then tilts its face down to stare at you all directly before the wall.
We are your death, monster.
So the dragon laughs. Ah, yes, brave adventurers, to be added to the wall. Beautiful, beautiful. Why don't you make your way in? And then the dragon laughs as its face retreats from the wall of ice. I would say, Karen, since you made a note earlier to kind of pay attention to how Namir was acting, you can see her body language very much changes when he starts to speak. Her wings kind of wilt down, her shoulders lower to the ground. She kind of very visibly cringes away from him, but she cringes away from him not in a way to make herself smaller, like she's less dangerous, like she's less to be noticed, almost as if she's trying to hide behind the Ural's group between her and the face.
In other words, she's terrified.
She's terrified, but in a very specific way. She's terrified, and she's also seems to be making a conscious effort to make herself look non-threatening.
Okay. Karen tells her she has nothing to worry. She has allies with her, and we can face him together.
So she shakes her head side to side. You can see she's sort of very slowly inching her way back towards the entrance of the lair and says, No, I can't. I can't face him again. It always turns out bad when I provoke him. You see her wings are kind of shuddering as she's backing away.
Karen tries to remind her of her offspring, and there's no hope for them if she turns her back on them. She must stand and fight.
So when you say that, she sort of pauses. You see her claws dig into the ground. And you said some of my daughters might yet live. You said that. And she looks over towards Amelia. You believe that, do you?
I do, but I'm a bit busy trying to contain this defiling, which is what I'm gonna do after this.
So when she says that, you hear kind of echoing through the hallway behind the laughter of the dreads, of the echoing laughter of Sapphire Akhtar, and he says, Yes, yes, your children, always for your children, never for yourself. And you see she kind of stiffens up a little bit, lifts herself up, and then looks down at Amelia and says, Stand back.
Okay. I stand back.
So the bronze dragon kind of fills up, and you can see her kind of whole body swell, and she calls out in Draconic as kind of loud as she can. You kind of echoes in the area around the entranceway, and says, I will take my daughters back, and then breath weapons the wall. For those of you guys that weren't kind of immediately realizing what she was about to do, it might have been really, really awkward as this gout of flame washes over the area and smashes up against the wall of ice. She breath weapons on the wall and then seems to hold it there. You see her body start to deflate. You see runes appear on her chest as she's focusing heavily on what she's doing. She walks forward, and keeping her breath weapon as one steady stream on the center of the wall of ice, she places one hand on either of those stones and then just tears them away from their moorings and throws them broken against the walls. As the the ice starts to melt, and you guys see a little hole starting to appear in the front of it. The room starts to heat up. The room heats up pretty rapidly to be even hotter than it is outside. As the wall rapidly begins to sweat, she pulls herself away from it and seems to deflate again, this time looking a little exhausted. And she gives a weird sort of broken smile towards Karen.
Well, good thing we brought our dragon key for this lock.
Does her smashing the stones stop them from sending defiling all over the place?
They seem to be pretty broken, although the stench of sulfur is incredibly bad in the air right now. The smell of rotted eggs is just filling the entire interior of this small space.
Okay, fair enough. But I mean, that's sort of the effect of the defiling magic that's happened. I want to figure out if it has like stopped sending defiling everywhere, or if this whole place is going to become defiled unless we do something.
Correct. So the effect that was causing the defiling has stopped.
Excellent.
So meta information wise, effectively, because you guys befriended Namir, and because you kind of did certain things a certain way, she completed this part of the challenge for you. So the way before you was open to go further into the lair.
Yeah, I was just making sure that we didn't do anything, bad before we proceeded, and I am satisfied. So I am willing. I would like to proceed now.
So heading into the lair, you can see it's a maze of tunnels and passageways. The tunnels itself have bits and pieces of things in them. So there's areas that have pools of water with running water going through. There's several different biomes, I guess is the right word, of things that are within the lair itself. So you see an area that has a little bit of greenery off to one side. There's water that is going through. There's an area that looks like an open cavern. There's an area that looks like it might have been once the inner keep of a fortress.
Gary, one moment. We don't see anything.
Yes, because I'm going to reveal it at the end of the description.
Okay.
As you guys kind of make your way towards the middle, you can see that Namura is moving with a purpose, like she kind of knows where she's going, until she gets to a spot that kind of breaks off. This area looks very rough-hewn. You can see certain areas look like they've been more leveled out, either with magic or with precision and claws. This area looks like the walls and floors and ceilings have still obvious marks of scrapes from where a dragon has taken its claws and magics to burrow into the stone itself. There is 2 paths. So leading left and right. While you guys are going through this, every time you guys are going down areas, you can see little bits and pieces of the dragon's magic. And on the path to get to this place, and I apologize that I have more splash screens, so I'm just going to call out initiative order. Every time you guys go past one of these things, you hear the dragon's voice echoing along, calling after you, taunting you. A lot of the taunts seem to be aimed at Naimur, but some of them are at you all, calling out, saying that you are weak and pathetic, little creatures crawling around in a maze. What I need to do is I'm going to go around to each person, and I need a single check from you all, and the goal of this particular challenge is to sort of resist the feelings of dread and power as you're being assaulted, not only with magic, but this sense of overwhelming power and dread that the dragon's lair is pressing down upon you. So basically, it's resisting the effects of him trying to psych you all out. So first up will be Gilda.
Alright. What can I... so I have something that sounds good. I will I will speak to my secret in pretty loud, because I know the dragon pretty much hears us, and I will tell secret. Building walls and hiding in caves. I thought that's what humans do when they are afraid.
Nice.
And I don't know if I'm taunting him or looking to secret for some kind of.
So you could try to think about things that would kind of get under the dragon's skin. You could obviously use Intimidate, or you could use Insight. Those seem to be reasonable things. Now, this is a proper skill challenge, so I will need checks from everyone, or I will need a single check from everyone.
Alright, let's go for Insight.
So you try to kind of talk about what's going on, and every time you try to speak back and forth, the echoing voice of the dragon makes it feel kind of stronger and stronger, this sense of doom that is upon you. And while the words that he's saying only seem to be sort of part of the effect, the sort of oppressive nature of the magic in here that seems sort of violently opposed to primal magic makes you just so uncomfortable that you start to feel disheartened. So if you are disheartened, mark on your token with the radioactive symbol a number 1. Targar, you are next. Tool, you're after Targar.
Yep, Targar, when he's addressed, stands up straight, or writes himself straight up on Arthur's back, I suppose, and says, "Mock all you like, thing, but I have slain your kind before, and I will do so again." And he's half trying to convince the dragon and half convincing himself. So Intimidate.
Sounds good to me. So a moderate DC check means that you do not get disheartened, and you don't really feel quite extra pumped up for the battle either. So effectively, for the purposes of the challenge, that is neither a success nor a failure. Tool, you're up, and Karen is next.
Tuel is too excited to fight an opponent as worthy as a dragon to care about those petty insults or whatever stuff is in the area, so would that be just endurance to be excited and ignore what's happening?
Kind of plug your ears and go la la la, not listening.
More or less.
So that will partially work for the voice, but there is also this magical effect of dread that is being pushed upon you. So if you want to endure to sort of make yourself feel unaffected, that would definitely work.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm going for.
So if you will use the turret symbol with a number 1 to mark that you now have a single stack
Which
of bravado.
symbol? Turret, okay.
The turret,
Okay.
yeah. So you're starting to taunt the, or you're starting to kind of resist as the dragon kind of focuses on you a little bit, and then noticing that the magics and things are not affecting you, it ignores you and continues to put energies to where he seems to be more effective. So that was Tool. Karen, you are up, and Meryl is next.
Okay.
User was moved out of your channel.
Karen's aware of some
User joined your channel.
Karen is aware of some of the psychological warfare that sometimes plays out prior to battle, and he realizes that many battles have been won or lost just before the battles come to blows, just based on how people may react emotionally. So he's going to use his insight to realize this and resist the effects.
Good. So that's going to be a hard DC. You're going to also gain a stack of bravado. So the voice is taunting you, calls at you as you're walking along, and you hear the voice talk at you, and it says, "Thantarum's little rats running in my maze. What fools to think they could succeed where the Archmage failed." And you can tell that he's doing this for a reason. Like, he's putting up walls, he's putting up barriers, he's weakening you all down for a reason. And if you counter that, then you can sort of take the upper hand when he's expecting you to be weakened. Meryl, it is your turn, and Amelia, you're last but not least.
Okay, I actually want to try to help out Namura in a way, and by helping her, help myself. I want to try to convince her that I'm pretty sure her hatchlings are whatever the age you happen to be, will be all right and that everything's going to turn out fine. And in a way, kind of to do it in a way to convince myself as well. Because, I kind of have a bit of nerves about it as well. Can I do a bluff check?
Yeah, that sounds good to me. So,
Correct.
you can tell as you focus on Namur that the dragon is following along, and she's a good bit taller than you all are, and you can tell that there are different effects at different levels of the cave, and you can see that while the dragon is definitely directing a lot of the things at the group, he's directing very specific things towards her. And you can tell that one of the little stones that's hanging from the wall, if you get close to it, it says, "Would that you could have hidden your brood as well." And you can see there's more of those little kind of niggling comments that are laid along the top of the roof where she's walking, or that's directly above her head. And you can see she's sort of having that same posture that's sort of not quite defensive, but trying to make herself small and ignorable. And you can draw her attention away from that and draw her attention to her children. And every time you kind of bring the children's mind, excuse me, bring up the children in Nimr's mind, you see her kind of redouble her strength. She hunkers back down. She starts to kind of focus and get a little bit stronger. Her steps get more sure. As she's picking the different pathways to go, she's getting a little bit more of a pep in her step as she's heading down the different passageways. So you gain a stack of bravado. And Amelia, you're up.
Sweet.
Alright, I could be boring and just try to fight magic with magic here, but since nobody has rolled diplomacy yet, I'm just going to affirm my own and everyone else's belief in that we are here, we're doing the right thing, we're going to win, and we're going to, save the children, basically reinforce what Meryl is saying, but more sincerely.
Okay.
I guess, is what I'm saying. Yes, exactly, a speech about justice and love and friendship.
So you do gain a stack of bravado as you are filling the group with strength, letting everyone know that you are doing well. Now, at the end of the round, you guys can sort of rearrange your stuff. So if you're at 0, if you're neutral, nothing happens. If you have a stack of bravado, or if you have multiple stacks of bravado, you may lose a stack of bravado to remove a stack of dishearten from any other person. So, for example, right now, Amelia, if you want to go back to even so that Gilda can take off her stack of dishearten, you can do so.
I will give my stack to Gilda.
Okay. To be clear, you can't like stack you can't have like 3 bravado on one person. It's just meant to sort of even out. So, you continue to make your way through, and you get to this area of huge crystals. Down one of the passageways, you see that there are these massive spikes of black and purple crystals extending down from the ceiling all along the walls. There's little pods of crystals that are spaced throughout this room. This room is the largest room that you guys have seen since you all have entered the lair itself. And in front of you, you see dozens, if not hundreds of scenes, illusions that are playing out on the crystals themselves. The crystals show many adventurers coming to fight the dragon. On the near side of this oval-shaped room, the adventurers are trading insults with the dragon, taunting back and forth, so loud that it's almost hard to hear anything over the din. Then, as you cross the room, in the middle, it shows where the fighting of each of the different adventurers as they are meeting the dragon, showing signs where they have fought him in all types of different surroundings, in caves and fields, up in the highest keeps and down in the deepest dungeons. You see this fighting back and forth, and always Sephiraktar seems just this shadow of darkness and lightning. And then on the far side of the room, you see the exit to the room show the grisly scenes as the adventurers are inevitably struck down and killed by the dread. So this room has a intense sense of that same feeling that you felt low levels of all throughout the lair that is in this particular room. So same sort of thing to get across the room. Gilda, you're up first. Actually, I'll put you guys in
Um,
order on the map because that makes my life easy. But go ahead, Gilda.
yep. Alright, so I think I will use Speak with Spirits, and I will pretty much want to uh, summon the spirits of all those fallen heroes to kind of walk beside us and to, show that we are not alone, that we have others behind us.
Okay.
That's including the 6.
So you kind of sense this sort of solidarity with the other adventurers, but the effect is somewhat lost as you do draw some of the images of the other adventurers of the room. But about the time that you make it midway across the room, the adventurers are starting to the images and the adventures that they represent are starting to fail and fade. And by the time you make it to the other side of the room, you see these images die these grisly deaths as they are gathered around you, and you were the last to remain. Targar, you're up.
Targa watches all these scenes kind of, I can't find the right word. He's basically showing his respect for their last moments, and being thoughtful about it all, I guess. Then after a minute of silent observation, he inclines his head and says loud enough for everyone to hear, "We will avenge you," and begins to move on with increased determination. So he's going to try diplomacy to make everyone feel better about their job.
Sounds good.
Damn.
So unfortunately, it does not make moderate. As you kind of do that, the effect that you're going for and the way that you kind of say it and phrase it, you see some of the crystals near you echo what you're saying, but it's in 100 different voices of people telling their comrades, "We will take the dragon down. We are in the right. We are here to slay this great beast." And you hear it in half a dozen different languages, all mixed together into this one thing that has been said so many times to the dread before, and yet you see all of them fall. So you gain a stack of dishearten. Tool, you're up.
Seeing all of this, I will try to yell at my friends that this is no time for cowards. It's we already came all the way here. We can't back down and all that. Basically, just try to project my confidence by yelling at them, and by yelling at them that nothing but actual victory is acceptable. Would that be intimidate?
Mm-hmm. So you kind of call out at them, kind of snapping, giving the people in the room someone to focus on. And as the other people start to focus on you, you can tell that there's definitely a difference between these recorded voices, these sort of fake sounding echoes of these former adventurers, and your voice, your purpose, what you all are doing. And you become this sort of touchstone so that everyone can focus on, hey, this time is different. This time we're going to do something different. So gain 1 stack of bravado for yourself. Karen, you are up. Now, Karen, since you are one of the people that has interacted with the dragon and had made a point of kind of watching what Nimir is doing, as you all are crossing the room, you can tell that the other side of the room looks like it's going to be kind of small for the dragon, and the dragon stops about halfway across the room and is looking off to the side at some of the images in the crystals and seems to be kind of watching intently at a layer of crystals that's about 10, 11 feet off of the ground. Definitely not kind of on your all's level.
Okay. Does Karen see what she sees in the crystal, or is it possibly something different, something that speaks to one's heart?
So if you take a moment to kind of angle yourself to look at what she's looking at, you can definitely see it from the ground. It's kind of awkward because you have to stand really close to one wall to see up there. And you can see up there on the wall, there is a depiction of a giant blue dragon that looks like he's in a lair that has a lot of sort of this soft golden light that's spread around it, this sort of idealized image. And you can see the dragon is kind of running his claws very kind of gently, almost lovingly over a pair of very young-looking bronze dragons, and murmuring to them as the two smaller dragons nuzzle up against the great blue. And the Nimur seems to be staring at that image transfixed.
Karen approaches her and tells her, times of the past are long gone. What once was is never to be, perhaps never was. The Sephiroth of old is perhaps now a much different, crueler person, if he ever was a good dragon.
So give me a diplomacy check or something similar, or you could do insight to try to find the right words.
Sure.
So it's going to have an effect on the dragon. It's not going, for the purposes of the skill challenge, it's going to be a moderate DC, so it's not going to give you bravado, it's not going to give you dishearten. And you see that the dragon kind of peel her eyes away from the image, and you see molten tears running down the side of her face. And she shakes her head. No, no. He does not show me times of things that were. He shows me things that are. She stares back up at the image for a second, and then looks down at the rest of the group, and says, "Those are not me." From context, and this is me kind of as a DM taking a step aside, from the context, you should understand what she's saying, but I want to make sure the message is getting across what she's saying. Do you guys understand what she's saying?
Are they sort of like they're like new bronze dragons that he has that are probably under his sway?
Yes, but more specifically,
The surviving children?
yes.
Mm.
So the dragon will kind of shake her head and say, my daughters. Lord Merrill, you're up.
Okay. I would like to yell out at the dragon in order to try to intimidate him. I want to tell him that basically his time is coming out, or his time is running out, and that he won't escape.
Okay.
So that'll be 31.
So that is definitely a success. So if you already have one, you have one bravado, right?
Yep.
So bravado 2 is +2 to skill checks and +2 to saving throws. So your voice echoes out loudly. You guys, again, can focus on the difference between your voices and the voices of those that have been captured and repeated and kind of set up in this collage, this menagerie of death. And that difference between it, fills you with purpose, fills you that this will be the time. Amelia, you're last.
All right, so we're basically passing through a field of crystals with. Are they like illusions of the previous adventurers who have tried to fight him, or are they like captured souls?
They seem to be images. He's basically has. I think someone said it, crystal vision, like crystal TV. He's got a bunch of recordings of using illusions of these images trapped in the crystals of adventurers and parties and people engaging him and then ultimately losing.
All right, so it's basically illusions. So what I want to do is simply I want to use Arcana to just manipulate the illusions such that the adventurers win, essentially.
Okay.
To fill us basically with morale and to show the dragon that I can do this, and also to see this is the future that might have been, or this is what might have been if they had succeeded, and this is how it will be when we succeed. And I want to add the corollary that if I completely fumble this, I'm gonna go ahead and defile them instead.
Okay.
And let's find out. And add another 2 to that for bravado, but that still doesn't make hard DC.
So it doesn't make hard to see, so it doesn't get especially worse. It doesn't get a lot better. As you try to alter the images, it's very, very difficult to alter the images in this room. These are things that look like they've taken a lot of ritual magic to create and sustain. While you can make relatively momentary changes to of what's going on in the things, it does not take Safaraktar a lot of effort to sort of reassert his will on what the images are. But even that knowledge that you can tinker with his magics, that you can tinker with what he's doing, makes you feel like, okay, this isn't as hopeless as the room is trying to make it feel. This is not an overwhelming force. He's strong, yes, but it is something that can be overcome. So no bravado, no dishearten. So
Cool.
you guys finish making your way through the room, and you see the area a little bit forward is relatively small. Basically, it looks like it's just big enough for the dragon to make it through. You can see little scrapes on the sides where the larger blue dragon has gone before, and it's not quite a comfortable fit for the bigger blue, and it's not the easiest fit for the bronze, although she is quite a bit smaller than Safaraktar. As they're going along, you can hear, those of you guys that speak Draconic can hear Nimr muttering kind of under her breath in Draconic these words saying, he cannot keep them from me. He cannot poison them against me. They are my daughters. They will always be my blood. She's very clearly trying to keep herself from giving up hope. So I'm going to go back a map for this last part. So you get to an area at the end of the tunnels where you see more of these markers, and you see one that looks a little different from the others. So on the right-hand side of the screen, you should see there's the ritual markers like you saw outside that have that same circle of defiling around them. And then you see in between those two similar markers where the ice gate was previously, there is this very angular crystal that is emanating with kind of a bluish white light. And the symbols on it are in Draconic rather than being in the language you guys are not familiar with. And for those of you guys that can read Draconic, while you don't really know how, you wouldn't be able to duplicate this sort of thing, it is fairly clearly a linked portal stone or something to that effect. It is a portal key. And you see her kind of look up, see the area as the kind of cavern beyond is expanding out, and you hear the Nimr kind of at first, when she starts to talk, her voice is very small, it's very timid, but as she continues to talk, it gets louder and louder, and she says, "My children, no, you cannot keep them from me. You cannot keep them!" And starts to kind of yell out into the room as it echoes back. You see an illusion of a face appear over the portal key, and the dragon's voice comes back. "Keep them from you. It was you who abandoned them. You who spat on all the protection and love I had given you for centuries. But oh, my little bronzeling, I could never stay mad at
User
you.
was moved out of your channel.
If you will go and finally be a mother to them,
User joined your
I will
channel.
send them. Though it hurts me, it weakens me in front of the murderers you have led to my door. I could not keep a mother from her brood." You see the portal key twist a little bit and then open up. Through the portal that's opened on top of the portal key, you can see the top of it's opening up obviously in a ceiling, and you're looking down on a wide cavern where there are 3 bronze dragons that are sort of resting and starting to kind of stir themselves as they are reacting to the portal being opened. Nimr freezes in place, and you can see her whole body slowly shuddering. What do you all do?
Before I do anything else, does the bravery powder thing work against the disheartenedness?
It will in a minute, yes. It won't help you because it's a continuous effect. Also, at the end of the At the end of the round, just like the other round, if you guys want to rearrange dishearten, you can. So if someone wants to lose a stack so that Targar is no longer disheartened, you guys can do that.
I'll lose a stack. Let Targar be no longer disheartened.
Okay.
I've got about 3 bravery powders left, including the one that I just used, so I can just keep on using the bravery powder to remove it if you guys want to hold on to your bravado.
I will say you definitely can use it. You have to be in an area where you're not under the constant effect first. So basically, once you pass through this area, you could then use the powder. But in game terms, effectively, you'll need to use it in combat.
Okay, sure thing. I'll hold on to it then.
So you guys got to the edge of this area. There is a portal that is now open before you. You can see around the edge of the portal that this passageway leads to a large cavern beyond. But Sapphire Akhtar has sort of placed this portal in your all's way.
What is inside the portal? Do we see anything?
Yes, so in the portal, it looks the other side of the portal looks like it is at the top of a cavern, and it's looking down. And inside of the cavern, there is a big kind of open cavern that's well lit. There seem to be 3 smaller bronze dragons that are stirring to wakefulness and, basically noticing that a portal has opened in their room and are looking up sort of expectantly at the portal.
Targar holds up a hand in a kind of, a stop motion. Says, "This must be some kind of a trick." He's going to look really carefully to see if it's an illusion or something like that. So, perception. If roll 20 will start responding. There we go.
By the way, I know there was a little bit of communication loss, and if you wanted to read what I had said, that's the text from what the dragon said before he opened the portal. The 3 bronze dragons that are in there look real. The cavern has a lot of details that a lot of illusions tend to not have. There's a lot of imperfections and things like that. There's a big pad on the ground where it looks like they can rest. That looks like it's a little bit damaged. Things that, if you were making an idealized illusion, you wouldn't include a lot of the details that don't make it look perfect. Where when in the other room, when Karen looked up at the idealized thing in the crystals, that was all perfect detail. That was all, everything was happy and go lucky, and there was no negatives in that. This seems to have more of a full look to it. It looks like this actually is a portal, and you can feel the same sort of disconnection between the air on this side of the portal and on that side of the portal, as it feels a little bit more musky on that side as a smell of the air comes through the portal itself. It does appear to be a real portal. So again, so that people don't get skipped, but we're not in skill challenge at the moment, or we're not in the same sort of skill challenge where everyone has to act. Gilda, did you want to do anything?
No.
2L.
I will try to convince Nimmer that this must be some kind of a lie, that portal is a trap. Maybe it just looks like it's leading to the hashlings, but we'll switch over last second to another place if she walks there, or something like that. And basically, that is just a trick meant to fool her. But I'm not entirely confident. But Tuel is not entirely confident herself, so she's basically trying to bullshit this. So
Okay.
would it be a bluff?
Sure.
I will include the +2 bonus myself.
So you see Numur is focused very heavily on the portal, and she cranes her head a little bit to you as you speak and says, "I don't see any exits there. I've not seen any signs of them for so long. For so many years they've been lost to me, and now..." And as she starts to say this, as her voice starts to pick up a little bit more strength, you can hear younger draconic voices flow through the portal, asking kind of questioningly, "Mother?" And you can see the dragon sort of wilt a little bit at the other voices coming through the portal. She says, "Even if it is a trick, don't I have to try? don't I have to go to my children?
We can find them after we know it's safe, after we have dealt with this abomination of a dragon. Before that, it's foolish, as you will just risk getting murdered for as you risk just getting, just falling into his trap and getting murdered. It is safer to first deal with him.
So she is definitely now conflicted. She seems, now that she's talking, like she'd pretty much already made the decision to step through the portal and is now not certain which way to go. Karen, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Sure. Karen tries to remind Namira that Sephiroth is trying to pull at her heartstrings and manipulate her, and it's still unknown as to what kind of manipulations he's used on her offspring. And until such time, we must proceed carefully. If we rush into this, then all may be lost. Perhaps we can investigate the portal, ensure that it is in fact secure and will remain open, or we may find another way to find Sephiroth and defeat him first.
Sounds good to me. What sort of check are you associating with that to try to convince her?
I guess he'll use a diplomacy to kind of keep her from rushing in.
Sure. So she still seems to be kind of torn between the two options. You can definitely tell that she is listening to what you're saying, but she hasn't really quite gotten over the idea that, I'll give you kind of what from your passive insight, she hasn't really gotten over the idea that it might not still be worth it. Like, she knows that it might be a trick, she knows that it's a deception, she knows that he's playing with her, all of these sort of things. She's aware of it, but at the same time, that trap is a trap for her for a reason. Like, it is still something that she very, very much wants, and is having a hard time discounting the idea that she can just step through this portal and be with her daughters. Meryl, you're up.
I don't really have anything to add. So I'm gonna pass.
Okay. And Amelia.
I'm actually going to pass as well because what would be in character for me would go contrary to the goals of the group. So for the sake of that, I will pass.
What would be in character for you?
It would be in character for Amelia to actually encourage her to go to go in the portal, because that's what it's like. It's worth the risk. That's how I feel like it, and I don't think that's conducive to what the group wants to do. Therefore, I will not do it.
Okay, so I think this is very much a point where I understand that mentality, but I do want to take a quick kind of mark from the group. If you all were the ones making the choice between the dragon goes, as far as your character is concerned, if the dragon goes through the portal, or the dragon does not go through the portal, if you guys could please type into chat 1 for does go through the portal and 2 for does not go through the portal. I want to see if it's everyone is on the same page, or if people think different things, because I think it is much more split than what you're saying, what you're thinking it is.
I'm undetermined. I don't know. Pragmatically, I just go with the majority.
Okay, so I am going to leave it up to you, because it does seem like we've got 3 people that are definitely for don't go into the portal. We've got at least 2 people that are for go into the portal, so it's not going to be you kind of fighting against the better party stuff. So if your character would do it, I don't think this is an instance of the guild rule of don't be a dick. I don't think you're violating any guild rules by doing what your character would do.
No, I'm. It's not about violating rules. It's about not being disruptive in general. Is what I feel. So I will willingly pass.
Okay. So you see the portal start to shake a little bit, and the dragon's voice calls out again. The Sephiroth's voice calls out again and says, "I am not as strong as I once was, my bronzeling. I cannot keep the way open and still protect myself from these little invaders. If you have made your choice to strike in with them, then try to strike me down and say goodbye to your children forever. So Nubur is standing there. She's watching the portal slowly shrink. And since you guys are sort of in the middle, I'm just going to roll randomly and see what her choice is. So the dragon sees what's going on. She kind of wilts back down, her body getting very small, the same sort of thing that she does when she's afraid and trying to avoid the dread, the tension. And she says, she mumbles under her breath a little bit. I'm sorry that I could not be stronger. I cannot fight against him. He's just... I know that there was good in him, might still be good in him, but I cannot provoke him more. I need my children. And then she launches herself forward and ducks into the portal right as it begins to close around her. So the portal snaps shut. Is everyone updated on the map right now with your disheartened and whatnot?
Yep.
I think so.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems so.
So, you guys, the two stones on the side fade, and as the light from the portal winks out, you start to see a much less pervasive light shed by those little obelisks spread around a large room. The room seems to be going up with a center pillar that's actually, let me move you guys to the map so you can see the room. So the room has a central pillar sort of area that's this black area on the map that is not that is a blocking terrain, so you can't see through it or walk through it. That is holding it up. Then there are these tiers going up. Again, you can see where you guys are starting down here, and you can start anywhere in the -15 area. Up above, you can see there are these pools of what look to be a very cold water that has a bit of a mist coming off of it. And there are these obelisks that you've seen spread around the layer itself. The same things that are on the handouts. Or sorry, that were on the splash screens. As you guys kind of enter in, you hear this grumbling roar as this massive dragon thuds down onto the ground on the other side of the room and opens up its wings. While in the images that you saw, Saphiraktar the Blue was a blue dragon, here the illusion is not strong. The illusion of what the blue dragon once was is pretty much completely thrown away, and instead there is a almost completely skeletal-looking dragon with little pieces of flesh hanging off of the bones, and this harsh, angry blue light glowing from within the dragon as he turns to meet you and laughs as he calls out, "Ah, and so the little heroes lose their protector and come to join their compatriots on my wall." I will give out an APs, and then we will do initiatives, please. Hey, look, there's the 2.
Well,
Hang on one second. I forgot to adjust this for the fact that we are playing on normal. The last time we played this was on aggressive.
alright, so let's see. I have a Battlefront shift. Karen, do you want to shift half your speed? And also, question for the DM, is it possible to shift up the cliffs, or does it take an athletics check or something?
Going up is difficult terrain. It's 2 per 1. It is fairly smooth because it's not really a cliff. It's just sort of an incline.
Alright, well in that case, Karen, would you like to shift half your speed up to wherever you want to go?
I don't know if I can make it up half my speed, because it's difficult terrain. So
Right, you're a dwarf, so you have speed 5, so you can shift 1 square into the difficult terrain, I guess. Basically, I would like to keep the other people around me, and Gilda is too far away to trigger it, so you are my default choice.
sure, yeah, I'll move up here, I guess.
So if it's not marked on the map as a place, like the kind of a, I guess it's kind of greenish thing on the outside, that is in the wall, so you cannot go in any of those squares. If you look up here, there's kind of a tear in the ground, it looks like. This is the part of the wall that's sticking out into the room. And you guys should have two handouts. Amelia has the phylactery, so Amelia is the one that has the ability to interact with that handout as well. You can pass the phylactery back and forth. It is a minor action to pass the phylactery to one another. And the obelisk skill challenge should be something you all read as well. If you have a question about how either of the handouts works, take a minute and let's do that. And then we're going to take a short break to bathroom and water and that sort of stuff, and we'll get combat rolling. So step one is, if you are, so what we're going to do is read the handouts, go get water, that sort of stuff, and then we will try to start the combat at 05. If you have questions, type them into chat, and I will answer them in type. Yes, the humongous penalty applies. So, go get water, go do other things. If you have questions, type in your questions. When you're back and ready to go, type 1 in chat.